Looks
Nancy,
like,
Tom's muted, so just
yeah,
have
Tom's still muted. Look, I'm getting a thing saying live on YouTube.
Yeah, it's going.
All right.
I'm connecting.
We just
Checking my
need Bob
audio.
now.
Rob, I have that you're muted.
How about now? Am I good?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
good now.
Okay.
All right, so we're live. I can call to order.
We are live. Call to order.
All right, calling the 7 PM work session meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, the Township Committee?
Mr. Madigan,
Here,
Ms. Fisher,
Here.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Here.
Mr. Mayor Shanley.
Here. All right, reading of the open work session statement.
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act, NJSA 10:4-6 et sec, and in consideration of Executive Order Number 103 issued by Governor Murphy on March 9th, 2020, declaring a state of emergency in the state of New Jersey, the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff does hereby notify the public that to protect the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens while ensuring the continued functioning of government, the meeting of the committee scheduled for 7 PM Tuesday, May 5th at Town Hall will be conducted virtually through Zoom technology, and it will be live streamed on the Township of Wyckoff's YouTube channel. Due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, members of the public will not have access to Town Hall. These measures are implemented to allow members of the public to observe the meeting via live streaming and to provide the ability to comment during the periods for public comment during the meeting through Zoom telephone call technology. Joining the meeting by telephone will be utilized as security against the sharing of inappropriate video content. General instructions regarding access to the meeting were posted on the Wyckoff web page, wyckoff-nj.com, as a news item on Friday, April 30th, 2020 at 4:30 PM. To view the live stream Township Committee meeting, please access the YouTube link, which will be posted on the Wyckoff's website homepage, again, wyckoff-nj.com, as a news item immediately prior to the commencement of the meeting at approximately 6:55 PM on May 5th, 2020.
Thank you. Can I get a confirmation that the Finance Committee has reviewed and signed the vouchers?
It has?
Very good. At this point, I'll ask for a motion for 10-minute public comment, 2 minutes per speaker for public comment on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to residents of the Township of Wyckoff. Can I get a motion?
I move to open a 10-minute public comment period.
Thank you. And
May we have a second?
there you go. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is the time for public comment, and all attendees will be muted. If you wish to maintain a comment, please state your name, spelling your first and last name, and state your address. As there may be more than one of you, please be cognizant of the other, and each person will get their turn. Can you tell if there's any other participants that want to participate in public comment, Bob?
I don't see any, Mr. Mayor.
The link has just been posted now, though, so give it a
Yeah,
minute.
we'll give it a few minutes just in case there is anyone who wants to add some public comment. Nobody's joined yet?
No.
Seeing we've left this open for about 2 minutes, can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Bob, can we do a review of the 8 PM business meeting agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and governing body members, the agenda and the resolutions and ordinances were posted on the Township's website on Friday, May 1st. Again, I'm going to remind everyone that as per the instructions from the state of New Jersey, these virtual meetings are for the business considered essential to keep the municipal government moving forward during this COVID-19 pandemic. What I would like to point out is the work session minutes that were provided to you were not in final form. They were sent to you from the clerk on Monday. We have a couple additions that we'd like to propose for your consideration. Today, this afternoon, I received a notice from Joyce that the Christian Healthcare Center has requested a temporary sign to celebrate Nurses Appreciation Week for six days. If that meets with your approval, I can add that as a motion to the 8 PM agenda. Now, because it's Nurses Appreciation Week, and I also learned today that today is Teachers Appreciation Day, we also propose to add a second motion, where the Township Committee acknowledges Nurses Appreciation Week and Teacher Appreciation Day and extends thanks for their service. We'd like to add that as motions as well. I did have a request to remove from the consent agenda resolution number 2194, which will be considered separately. I would also like to point out that, as on a positive note, the agenda includes an acceptance of a donation and the use of a direct energy grant program to achieve savings. There is also a resolution on the agenda to purchase 2 police patrol vehicles with hybrid engines, all positive fiscal indicators. I'll be happy to take any questions the governing body has on the agenda.
Thank you, Bob. Do you need at the 8 PM meeting a motion to add to the consent agenda, the Nurses Appreciation Week and the teachers?
No, what I'd like to do is to just have the governing body's approval to just add them to the agenda. So when I get to that point of the agenda, I will just read them at the appropriate location.
Very good. I'm in favor of it.
Same.
Okay, those are the only reports I have on the agenda. We do have a number of ordinances which are scheduled for public hearing and further consideration this evening. Those ordinances implement the capital program, which was part of the budget. The local fiscal affairs law requires, after the budget's adopted, the ordinances, it's sort of a financial housekeeping practice, a second step to appropriate them before the improvements that they fund can be achieved.
Thank you. Do you want to review the policy action items? That's the next thing on the agenda.
Yes, if I could, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would like to also point out that the parks and pathways of municipal parks were open on May 2nd. And also the grace period for the payment of taxes extended to June 1. The resolution on the agenda tonight also includes the memorialization of those actions. Again, wearing of cloth protective face covering and practicing social distancing approximately 6 feet from each individual is part of those resolutions. This action is coordinated with the Franklin Lakes and Oakland opening of parks as well. Item 2, I'd like to advise you that the spring leaf collection program finished the second full round of collection last Friday. The other thing I'd like to point out is that this Thursday and Friday is the third week of the vegetative waste collection. So Thursday and Friday, half the town each is collected on those days. I'd also like to point out to you that the Wyckoff Police Department submitted a competitive application and was awarded a $5,000 drone with a PA system, which will be used by the police department. The other thing I'd like to point out is that tonight we have a resolution which would authorize the filing of a declaration of intent for a Bergen County open space grant. I received some input from Mr. Madigan, which was a suggestion to add a pathway component from the pathway which is going to be built in last year's grant, which will take it down and around the ball fields and connect up with Demarest Avenue. What we would like to do is to add that to the application to Bergen County. Tom, did you want to make any comment on that?
Now, the only comment would be that Melissa and I concurred from a budget finance committee standpoint, and we had dialogue with Bob, along with Scott and Andy Wingfield, and we concur that we would like to add to the Bergen County grant application, because as part of what we're doing now with the fields, with the rec complex, and a pathway that would go from Franklin Ave through the complex and end at Memorial Field. This would give us an opportunity to actually go through Memorial Field and around Memorial Field and actually exit on Demarest. Or for those that are coming in from Demarest, you could enter from Demarest on a walking path. We take people out of the parking lot. We take people out of the crossing and everything. And then we also had a discussion that, if possible, we're not sure of the logistics, if we could accelerate the tennis courts that we had initially budgeted to be refurbished or upgraded, which normally would have been in the fall. The fact that Memorial Field is closed due to the construction, if there was an opportunity to take advantage of timing and kind of get that done prior to, we are all enthusiastic doing that. We don't know if that's going to happen, but we would like to add to the grant that path. It would be terrific. It's something that came up. It was an opportune time, and it was a long-term goal and thought process. So we're pretty enthusiastic that and recommending that to the finance committee.
Yeah, I had also thought that was a very good suggestion, because it allows the children who walk to the different sport areas the opportunity to remain on a sidewalk, and I think that that's very, very positive. As part of the Bergen County rules, the township must publish 2 adverts in the paper and conduct a public hearing. Essentially, the Bergen County Open Space has followed the Green Acres rules, requiring a public hearing before the application can move forward. We will, with your approval tonight, advertise Friday for that public hearing to be conducted on May 19th. And depending on any last minute public comment and any public comment on that evening and the governing body's wishes, I'll have adequate time to modify any application so that we'll be able to submit a thorough and complete application on time. Our judgment is also that we can add the cost of the pathway to the application and still qualify for 1/13 of the allotment to the Northwest Bergen County region, even though the Township of Wyckoff contributes a significantly higher proportion of taxes to Bergen County than 1/13 of the Northwest Bergen. Okay, so that's something we wanted to mention to you. And hopefully obtain your approval. The next item I wanted to discuss with you is the recycling center has been open from 10 to 2, Monday through Friday for the past 2 weeks. And the residents who've attended the recycling centers have all followed the social distancing regulations. They've all worn a cloth face mask, and they've been patiently waiting, and they've been directed into the center, and we have not had any congregation. So the mayor requested if we could open it up for Saturdays for the convenience of our residents. And we'd like to propose that we do that. We'd like to obtain your approval so that this Saturday we could have the center open 10 to 2 for the convenience of the residents, since our experience in the past 2 weeks has been positive and without problem. Tim, did you want to say anything else? It was your idea.
Yeah, I will just touch base on it. I spoke to Rudy, who's the liaison to the DPW, and he was in favor of it, even though he can't make tonight's meeting. I also ran into Scott Fisher today. When I was checking out the construction project down at the field, he was over there. So I kept my 6-foot distance from him, and we talked in the parking lot. And he said his staff can easily open on Saturday and keep social distancing of our residents, because his employee will work at the fence, limit the cars that come in, and even if they have to keep a line on West Main Street, they will do that just to make sure that residents are not on top of one another, and keeping 6-foot distances when they're dropping off just their leaves, their branches, their brush, or anything metal that doesn't get picked up by recycling, because the metal dumpster's there for any kind of other metal that isn't in the recycling. And and any of the bins that have the clothing are also, and electronics. He said they can do that, and they haven't been overwhelmed during the week, and hopefully they don't get overwhelmed on the weekend. But he believes that his staff will be able to handle it. And thank you for talking to him.
All right. That sounds positive.
Bob, can I comment?
Of course.
Just want to thank the mayor for lobbying to get the recycle center open. I've received numerous phone calls and texts, so I'm sure our residents will be happy that we're able to get that open. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bob, do you have anything else on the policy action items?
Yes, I do, Mayor, and I'm sorry I'm moving
Sure.
a little slowly. I'm also writing minutes since I'm pinch hitting for Joyce.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. I mean, this is the
This
first time
weekend.
we're ever doing a meeting like this, so take your time.
So bear with me. Okay, I would like one more item I wanted to mention to you. We received news this week that Governor Murphy will not allow schools to open this remainder of the academic year, which ends in June. So I had a chance to consult today with our management team, and I think because the decision has been made by the governor and it's clear, I think it's appropriate for us to advise the school guards that we are not going to pay them any longer for the balance of the academic year. I think what we're trying to do was to balance both the concern for the taxpayers as well as if the governor was going to allow the schools to reopen, we wanted to make sure we had the guards who were going to come back and work. Of course, remember, we have 16 school crosswalk posts, which is a significant number. And if we don't have them, we have to assign police officers. So I think it's the appropriate thing to do at this point. And I would have the police sergeant who's in charge of the school crossing guards call each one personally, as well as a letter to the police department for me would be forwarded to each one of them. So the recommendation is that we move forward with that action. So I'd like to have a consensus for me to move forward at this point at that. And we will also explain to them that we are hopeful the governor will allow us to reopen in the fall the schools and that we will need their assistance. As you know, Wyckoff is one of the few municipalities that provides medical testing of our school guards so that their sight and hearing is valid for the very critical and important job that they perform. So that will be done over the summer in anticipation of the opening of schools in fall. We remain hopeful. Then I will move forward in that regard. I think, Mr. Mayor, those are the only comments I had related to policy action items. Again, I tried to only talk about essential business items. I did provide some written memorandums providing updates on items that are just routine matters but are not essential.
Okay, thank you, Bob. We'll move on to report of the Township Committee. Tom, do you have a report?
Yeah, can you come back to me though? Because I'm shuffling a few papers here. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going with just whoever I see. I see Beth Fisher. You want to go?
Sure. Okay, so I attended the Board of Ed meeting on April 27th virtually. They did approve their budget with a calendar year increase of 1.96%. That works out to a fiscal year increase of 1.87%. They are concerned about state aid. So what they have done is put a hold on all their non-discretionary spending, a hold on all their building and capital projects. And they had negotiated a reduction in their health benefit and prescription cost savings that are going to be realized next year. So they are looking ahead to the fall and assuming that they will probably need some remedial and catch-up teaching. They didn't feel that they could reduce any staffing at this time, as well as anticipating significant amount of social and emotional support that they would be needing for their students. The Mayor's Wellness, the virtual Mayor's Wellness started on the 28th. We have 24 residents who signed up, and that is going well. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the stress reduction from the meditation and the yoga. There was a safety meeting this morning that I attended, going over the facility checklist and the job site checklist. Everyone is doing an incredible job keeping Town Hall clean and people who are coming in to work safe. Joe Salerno is doing a great job keeping everything clean. And all of the police, fire, and ambulance corps are working together very efficiently to support each other, providing supplies. Wyckoff OEM is working very cooperatively with all of the first responders to make sure everyone is properly protected. And I just saw the Sunset Garden today at Russell Farms, and it looks great.
Okay, great.
Your report.
Thank you. Melissa, do you have a report?
Sure, it's brief. In terms of the fire department, they went on a mutual aid call on Crescent Ave in Allendale. So they are still continuing to take their normal calls plus go on mutual aid calls. So we thank them for that. The fire pumper for Company 2 is well on its way to being ready to deliver. It's in New Brunswick at the Campbell factory. They've done some of the lettering. I saw a bunch of the pictures, looks great. They don't have a date for delivery quite yet. And as Bob said, in terms of finance committee and the budget, we're really happy to see that the police hybrid vehicles have been ordered and will be in service soon. And it's a great thing for the environment and for the department. I think that's it.
Thank you, Melissa. Tom, you ready?
There you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, a couple of things. One, I'm glad that Nurses Appreciation came up, and I too fully support it. And as many of you know, my daughter Erin, who I just want to give a shout out to, coincidentally, the end of last week, she received her doctorate in nursing practice. So not only am I proud of her, but I'd like to give her a little shout out as well and thank all the nurses, not only at Christian Healthcare Center, but all the nurses and medical professionals and all that they've done these past many, many weeks and will continue to do. Memorial Day plans. We had another Memorial Day parade committee, and I had a follow-up this afternoon. As I mentioned the last meeting here, the parade and the ceremony is officially canceled. And the parade committee is working on a video plan, the whole parade committee, and they're embracing the theme. This year's theme is Remember the Fallen, Honor the Living. And the video will include many patriotic themes fitting for the day. And the plan is also to incorporate noon, to have households around town pay tribute with flags and other things containing to Memorial Day. The plan is also to have the police, fire department sound sirens and horns, and a house of worship to ring their bells. So, and on that note, Mr. Mayor, they are looking for you so they can video you with some remarks. And again, we could talk a little more tomorrow. I know we talked about it earlier.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to give some remarks.
Okay, as far as recognizing Memorial Day and in May, this is May, we have at our township flagpole by the library, and to support governmental speech, we're flying the flag, honor and remember. So it's on the flagpole at the Memorial Complex by the library. Just want for the record, and maybe we can do something, because I'm a little disappointed that we don't have a resolution recognizing our veterans and those that gave their lives to ensure they are free. And I would like to request at our May 19th meeting that we honor these men and women, not only in town, but across our country, who served, and especially without the parade and the memorial service, that we would honor them with a proclamation during the month of May, because we don't have that, and I think it would be a nice gesture, and I'd be happy to work on that proclamation if the mayor and the township committee is so inclined. Rampo Indian Hills, I did attend the Rampo Indian Hills virtual meeting. If we recall, our last meeting, the township budget committee came back and was fully endorsed and supported that we were able to dip into surplus to ensure that Wyckoff homeowners on the municipal budget would have zero increase or less. We brought it in with a slight decrease. I was extremely impressed when I attended the 2.5-hour Rampo Indian Hills meeting, their budget presentation. And I was more impressed that not only did they thoroughly go through the budget, but how passionate every member of that Rampo Indian Hills Board of Ed was, including the superintendent, that they wanted to do the right thing. They understand that our taxpayers and our residents are in very uncharted waters. And they went forward and they actually brought in and they reduced their budget substantially by two things. They went into their surplus, which also include using the additional dollars they received this year in state aid. And at the same time, because of where their medical situation was, and they were on a fiscal year to July through July, and the fact that there was minimal elective surgeries, they had anticipated an increase in their medical budget. Sounds like similar to maybe the K-8, but they reported that since they're gonna not receive an increase in the medical portion, that therefore it was only right to not budget for that. So the end result is that they brought in a budget with a tax impact. Really, the overall increase in the budget was zero. There's a slight increase only because we're a regional district. So we share Wyckoff, Oakland, Franklin Lakes. There was a very, very slight dollar increase per home in Wyckoff, slight increase in Oakland, and actually a decrease in Franklin Lakes. It all goes by property value. So I just want to commend them for what they were able to do and understand that, you know, they're trying to do the best they can for all of our taxpayers. The next thing is, and I have to look at this. I take my glasses off. Oh, I just wanted to report that the Memorial Field, the turf project is underway. There is construction going on. There's dirt removal. It's very equipped, a lot of heavy equipment. Memorial Field is closed, and it's closed for safety reasons because of construction. It's being marked as such, and I'm very enthusiastic that certainly by mid-June we should be able to have this project completed, and maybe with the proper social distancing, and depending upon what our governor has to say, we can kind of take a look at what we're doing. So again, I want to thank everybody that's working on that project. It's going to be great, and if you had a chance from a distance, if you're by the library, you can see all that's going on. You can't go near the field, but it's going to be really special. I think that's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I will be brief. I'll just update a little bit on the police committee. The police academy that started last year, which starts right after school ends, has been canceled because of the pandemic and the closures of school for the rest of the year. The police department felt it had to be canceled because they have to protect the health of the children who would be transported over to the police academy over in Bergen County and other places that they would go to. And they didn't feel it was the time to do it. So they are unfortunately not doing it this year for the 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders, the ones that will be turning 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders next academic year. So unfortunately, it's, you know, those students are not, boys and girls are not going to be able to sign up for it this year. They're hopeful to bring it back next year when hopefully we are out of this pandemic. The police department continues to do their birthday drive-bys for young children who have their birthdays and cannot have birthday parties. The police department will continue to do that. The police committee meeting met and agreed to continue that through May, and with strict instructions that when a parent signs up for it, that they're given the instructions that there should be no gatherings on the front lawn other than the immediate family, and that the police will not be participating in any kind of parade that other cars are involved in, that it will be just the police the department that will be handling that. And if they do something after that, well, that's not something that's been endorsed by the police department. They're only trying to bring a little bit of joy to the young boys and girls who unfortunately cannot have birthday parties during this pandemic. So that's all I have on that. I just want to, the library remains closed. I spoke to Laura Leonard today because during my conversations with the governor's office during certain conference calls that I've had and listening to his daily press conferences, at some point they may allow the libraries to open as we start getting better news result and number results for lower hospitalizations, less positives, and more testing. They're ramping up testing, and they expect by the end of the month to more than double the testing that they've done in April. Because in order to reopen, they have to have testing in testing facilities set up so that if all of a sudden our numbers start going back up, that they're going to have to shut down what they open. So I talked to Laura Leonard. I said some of the things that the library is going to have to focus on is you're going to have plexiglass in front of where the employees are to try to protect the employees and and what they're going to have to do when these books are turned back in. There's probably going to have to be a certain period of time that they sit before they're put back on the shelves. And right now they're talking about maybe 72 hours before they go back on the shelves. They got to meet with some of the medical staff to say what's the appropriate time and how do you decontaminate the books in the event that they might still have the virus on. So those are some of the things that are being done. Fireworks committee has not met this since this pandemic happened. I've gotten questions about whether or not we're going to continue with the fireworks in September, and I don't have an answer for that because I don't know what next month is going to bring. So right now it's on hold. If we feel we can do it and we can meet sometime over the summer and get this done, well, we'll try, but there's no guarantee. We don't know. None of us have ever been through a pandemic before. And this virus, unfortunately, is a deadly virus for some. Some people cannot, they cannot fight this virus. I know my father certainly wouldn't be able to. So, and then there's some people that have had the virus and didn't even know it, and they've lived through it and they already have the antibodies. So it's hard to predict what this virus is going to do. I mean, the state right now is over 8,000 deaths as a result of this. And it's a lot of people that die from it are the ones that have a compromised immune system. So we have to continue to wear the masks, the face coverings that cover our nose and our mouth, because if we all do that while we're out, it will certainly help spread this virus and hopefully the cross contamination and keeping our 6-foot distances. So if we can continue to do that, I'm every night trying to update what is going on. And right now, the good thing is the hospitalizations continue on a downward trend. Patients on ventilators and in intensive care are going down too. They're not going down as fast as I would like to see, but they're going down. Hospitalizations continue to go down, and our positives are not rising like they were in April. April, they were in the 4,000 a day, 3,000 a day. Now we're in the 2s. And we got to get we've been in the 1,500 once. We got to continue to bring that down, and by continuing our social distancing and wearing the face coverings, I believe we'll get there. One of the things I did bring up with the governor's office, and I had a good conversation with one of his aides who says he's working on it, but they're not there yet, is we've learned how to do pickups, for food. and, do curbside pickup. I had suggested that they look into the ability to allow the non-essential businesses that have not been able to do any sales to possibly do that. You got Mother's Day coming up. It would be great if there could be curbside pickup for jewelry stores, and we have quite a few of those in town to pick it up for Mother's Day. But you know what? It hasn't happened yet. But today the governor had mentioned that they are looking into the possibility of doing that, and I believe the Senate President Sweeney called on the governor to do it. So there's quite a number of people who are calling for some relaxing of on business, because what's going to happen, unfortunately, if we don't allow some of these businesses to start doing curbside pickup, we're going to have vacant properties, commercial properties throughout town. And they're going to go out of business because they're not going to be able to pay their rent. They're not going to be able to pay their utility bills, and they're going to go out of business. And they're going to get, they're going to have bills that mount that they're not going to be able to pay because they can't do any sales. So I probably will have another conference call with the governor on Thursday, and we'll see how far along they are. And some of the other mayors have brought up the fact that people want to take library books out and they can't. So at some point there could be a relaxing on that. And that's the first time I heard a dog bark during our meeting. I kind of like it. I should bring my dog down here. But anyway, what's your dog's name?
Leo.
Leo, nice. I should bring Seamus down. That's my dog's name.
Off outside for something.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. But anyway, that's basically my report. And I did introduce the Pride flag and recognizing Pride Month in the consent agenda. I know it's been taken off the consent agenda. I guess we'll discuss it later. But speaking on that, what we're going to come up, we're going to still likely be under, no social gatherings in June. So when it comes up on June 1st and it's Pride Month, I plan on raising the flag and being the first Wyckoff mayor to proudly raise the Pride flag on June 1st. And I'll have a video taken of me doing it, because unfortunately there's not going to be any ceremony because of our social gathering bans that come from Trent. So that's my report. And let's see. Yep. And the next, we're up to a report of our attorney. You got any report?
Yeah, a few things. Thanks, Mayor. I finally did have some limited contact today with the attorney for Sarnas or Maple Lake. It just quick email. He said he was going to call me back. Didn't hear from him later by the end of the day, but hopefully tomorrow I'll talk to him. Talked to one of his partners today, and I sent down a letter. So I'm doing the best I can.
Thank you.
Move that along. I also talked to Mr. Rizzo, who has the pond on Demarest, and I've got a phone call scheduled with him for tomorrow morning. I think it's at 10:30. And I've done the research. I don't need to go into it now, but I'm going to talk to him about his pond, the condition, and maybe some of the things he can do. We're right in the process of, as you know, the subdivision of the lot line change for the Brackett property in the Rose Garden was completed, but we still have to file with the county. So that application is done now. Tom from my office has been working on it. That will go out and the maps will be filed and that'll be perfected. And then the last thing I had was, I think you saw a memo from Mark DeGennaro with regards to a possible sewer extension along Mr. Oliveri's property for I think it's a Morley Avenue, he's calling it Morley Avenue sewer extension. We talked about that a while ago. Other things came up, it never got pushed. I think we were waiting for Mark on cost estimates, because that's really the issue as to whether or not we want to go into the sewer fund and help pay for it. And he provided you guys with a cost estimate, which I mean, Mark and I both think it's a good plan. It would open up the sewers to 40 more homes in that Morley Drive Burns, I guess in the Leonard area. And you've got an opportunity now for a resident who's willing to give you an easement to get it done. But it's he's got it down as a $49,000 ticket. I'm surprised it came in at that much, but that's up to you. It's a business decision now.
Rob,
Yes,
can I ask you a question? Aren't we expecting to obtain the easements from both property owners at zero cost?
that's correct. So what would happen? There's a sewer line not far, right directly behind Mr. Oliveri's property. And he could just do a lateral from his home directly into that sewer easement. That may be the way he ultimately goes. And if that happens, it only benefits him, it benefits no one else. So we're kind of looking at it as this is our opportunity to pick up the easement between him and possibly his neighbor, who I've talked to their family as well, and get a real, ductile iron pipe main down the side property line and then into, I guess that's Morley there, where it'd go into, and you'd have a manhole there, and that whole community could connect. So I think we're looking at it as an opportunity. I don't know if Northwest Bergen would be willing to contribute anything towards the extension. But it certainly would give an opportunity to connect another good sized neighborhood into the sewer system.
Rob?
Yes.
Rudy and I are members of the sewer committee. And I know this goes back to before the end of the year. You are correct. And that we have been waiting for Mark to put together some numbers and some figures. And then in conjunction with you, prepare legal language so that we could obtain an easement from these two property owners. It's a very unique opportunity to, and I want to thank them in advance for their generosity to let us do an easement on both of the properties so that their neighbors could be hooked into a sewer line when they do a sewer project. So I know Rudy's not here, but he's done the lion's share of the work with Ken Oliver and the neighbors and trying to get this through. So I'm glad we're moving through on it, and hopefully we get this done because it'll be a nice addition to the 40+ homeowners in that area.
Rob, if I could also comment that this isn't necessarily this isn't necessarily a typical situation where a sewer main is extended in a roadway. This is an extension which works via the sewer atlas, but it also opens up sewerage for the 40 other additional homes that are in the Morley Dale area. So it is an expense that benefits more than just the two immediate property owners. And it's a difficult line because it's going through a side yard, in between two homes. So it really is a special opportunity. I would like to ask if there's any additional information that's required. Please let Rob and I know, and we'll work hard to get that information for you. But is it acceptable to place this on the next agenda for a possible authorization to move forward? Is the concept at least acceptable? And we'll try to refine any details from the perspective of, to use a football analogy, we're in the red zone. If we're going to go to the end zone, I think this is the approach.
Yeah, I think if you're comfortable with the numbers, and the last thing I'll say about the expenditure is it reflects a sewer main. It reflects a sewer main and the digging in the street and the manhole. I mean, this is, if Mr. Oliveri did it himself, it'd be a fraction of this. He'd do probably a $7,000 to $10,000 sewer lateral out his backyard. So this money is being spent because we want to sewer the neighborhood. But the path to get this done, if everyone's comfortable with the number, would be the next step would be I'd get easements from the property owners. You'd send it out to bid, and then you do the project. I mean, not that simple, but that's kind of that's the order that it would proceed with.
And Rob, if I can, I'm gonna underscore the point I just made too, that since this is a easement area going through two individuals' side yards, and we're obtaining the easement, or they're contemplating the easement for free, these property owners, you lose a certain amount of utility of that property. They can't plant it, they can't plant PLANT on it, they can't put a fence, they can't put a shed up. So it is somewhat of an atypical situation. And again, its intent is to open up soaring for approximately 40 additional homes.
It's certainly, I wouldn't call it a taking, but it's kind of along the lines of a taking, to the extent that, yeah, that their property is going to be affected. They get the positive aspect of being able to hook up to a sewer, but it's a mark on the title, that's for sure. I mean, it's going to show up as an easement. It could affect how they improve their property in the future. It's sure, if they could have sewers and not have the easement, they'd rather do it. But you're right, Bob. They're giving something up of value, and
And remember, the township, should there be a problem with the sewer, has the right then to enter their property and to make the repair.
correct. It's going to be our main, so
Yes.
we'd have the right to go in and make whatever repairs we need to make.
By the way, I think we've covered it as far as the generosity of the two people. And I know for concept and finances, and the fact that we're able to get two easements at no cost to the township. The fact that we're able to put this sewer line in, and no disrespect to your words, Rob, even though it's on two properties, that pipe zigs and zags. It's a little more complicated than one might think. And, you know, I'd like to thank those homeowners in advance. And the only other thing, since Rudy Boonster is not here this evening, and I'm sure that as we get this ready for our next meeting for the full township approval, I know that he would like, and I certainly would like, as members of the sewer committee, just to double check the dotted i's and cross t's.
Robert, does that conclude your report?
That does.
Mr. Mayor, we have about 2 more minutes before the start of the 8 p.m. agenda. If I can I just make a couple very brief comments?
Sure.
I just want to follow up on your comments about your discussion with Laura Leonard. Laura was in our library Zoom safety meeting today that we had, and I was very impressed with all the precautions she is researching and taking into account so the library can open as soon as the governor allows her. Beth,
Right.
I think you were as well. She's really being very,
Yes,
very
very
detailed.
thorough. Yeah.
She's
Very
wonderful.
detailed. And I was very impressed with that. I also want to tell you that I've been working, and I haven't given you an update on this, but I've been working with our senior staff, specifically Scott and Dave and Diana. We are going to be making modifications to 4 doors, essentially modifying them to what's colloquially known as a Dutch door, so that we can maintain 6-foot distancing and preparing to opening.
Okay.
I've been able to obtain through the fire department some masks for our employees, which will be issued once we reopen. And we're looking at some air purifiers, and we're looking at a number of measures that we can take so that we can keep our employees safe. And again, I have to recognize our first responders, our town hall employees who are working hard, and of course, the last one is our residents who've been diligently practicing. I can tell you, I personally have enjoyed the Saturday 7 p.m. clap outs. I've really been able to enjoy them. We've had sort of a turnover in our neighborhood in East Wyckoff, and we've met so many of our new neighbors. I haven't been clapping out, but I've been playing my bagpipes, and I think people have been screaming positive comments when we do the clap out. So
Nice.
it's been really enjoyable.
Either that or they're telling you to keep the pipes quiet. I don't know. They might be yelling at you, Bob.
It's funny.
I think they're positive.
So you guys didn't see, but my son just came in because underneath my desk, I've got the rechargeable batteries because they go through batteries so often. He was sneaking it out, trying to get it out so he could put them back in his Xbox controller. So that way we're not constantly throwing batteries in the garbage. We're recharging we're using rechargeable batteries.
Environmentally sound.
Exactly. So I just thought it was funny. He was underneath me. I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm like, I thought he was gonna let the dog down here into my basement. But anyway, I guess we need a motion to adjourn the work session, Bob. Or we're not going into a closed session. So do we recess?
Correct.
Or, okay,
Adjourn.
adjourn. So can I get a motion to adjourn the work session?
So moved.
Second.
Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we want to go right into the 8 p.m.? Or does
I'd
anyone
like
need
to
a
request
break?
recess. Like to request
All
a
right.
recess, please.
Oh, okay. Why don't we do a 5-minute recess? It's 8:01 now. We'll be back at 8:06. All right. I'm gonna go get some seltzer. Fortunately, Father Carlos might call in soon.
And then you have to go into your rooms, okay? You can say hi. Hi.
Hello.
Julian,
I'm good. Thank you, Joe.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep,
Robert
we ready?
Carlos is on the other line if you'd like to begin.
All right, I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Wyckoff Township Committee to order. We need to do a flag salute, so I do have a flag. All right, ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
visible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all.
All right, we have Father Carlos for the invocation.
And our talents, that you may guide the people of Wyckoff and his government leaders. We thank you for calling us to serve you as we serve you people. Dear God, as we are challenged by this coronavirus pandemic, we ask you to remember in your mercy those who suffer today. Give your strength and encouragement to those who minister to their needs. Remember your promise not to let them be tested beyond what they are able to bear. Above all, give them the assurance that you are with them and with all of us as we walk through these difficult times. May your loving presence give us peace, healing, pardon, and help us to love one another and to build a society based on you and for you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Father Carlos.
thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to do the invocation. I'm very pleased and very happy to do that.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
All right, can I get a reading of the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Yes, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and in consideration of Executive Order Number 103, issued by Governor Murphy on March 9, 2020, declaring a state of emergency in the state of New Jersey, the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff does hereby notify the public that in order to protect health, safety, and welfare of our citizens while ensuring the continued functioning of government, the meeting of the Township Committee, scheduled for 8 p.m. Tuesday, May 5th, at Town Hall, will be conducted virtually through Zoom technology, and it will be live streamed on the Township of Wyckoff's YouTube channel. Due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, members of the public will not have access to Town Hall. These measures are implemented to allow members of the public to observe the meeting via live streaming and to provide the ability to comment during the periods of public comment during the meeting through Zoom telephone call-in technology. Joining the meeting by telephone will be utilized as a security against the sharing of inappropriate video content. General instructions regarding the access to the meeting were posted on the Wyckoff website's homepage, which is wyckoff-nj.com, as a news item on Friday, April 30th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. To view the live stream Township Committee meeting, please access the YouTube link, which was posted on the Wyckoff's website homepage at wyckoff-nj.com as a news item immediately prior to the commencement of the meeting, approximately 6:55 p.m. tonight. And I have noted those present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for public comment period, 5 minutes per speaker for public comment on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the Township of Wyckoff?
So
I
moved.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, this is the time public comment All attendees at this time will be muted. If you wish to make a comment, please state your name, spelling your first and last name, and state your address, as there may be more than, since there may be more than one of you, please be cognizant of the others and everybody will get their turn. All Township Committee members will be muted and you will be unmuted. Do we have anybody for public comment?
We do not have any attendees.
All right, do we have to wait maybe a minute or two for some of them to come in, or
Sure.
why don't, it's 8:11 now, why don't we wait till 8:13?
Mhm.
Somebody poked in on the bottom. Did you see that?
Yeah, Mike.
From Mike Homachek, all panelists.
Mr.
Is he
Homachek?
unmuted?
Mr. Homachek, you are unmuted if you'd like to make a comment. You must be having technical difficulties.
You see what he's typing in? He typed in, "How do you speak?"
I told him you've been unmuted. Speak now.
Hi, this is Celeste Homachek. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
I'm actually the one that would like to make a public comment. Celeste Homachek, 553 Helena Avenue, Wyckoff, New Jersey. First, I would like to say thank you to the mayor for the emails that come out nightly on Wycoffian's page. And I think it's wonderful that you're informing everybody. And my second comment, I'm not sure who is the liaison to the police department, but we have a growing, large concern with speeding on Route 208, specifically since COVID began. Muscle cars and motorcycles there's going to be a horrible wipeout at some point because they're speeding at levels I can't even fathom. And I know there's conversations going on about this on both Wycoffians as well as the mom's page. So I don't know if this is something that can be brought by a liaison to the police department's attention, or should I call them specifically myself?
Thank you, Ms. Homachek, for your comments. I am the police commissioner, so I can bring it up with our police chief, but you are also welcome to report any violations that you see by calling the non-emergency number of the police department. Okay?
Okay, excellent. I wanted to ask here first because it's really becoming, it's more than a nuisance and it happens all times of night. And I'm perfectly aware of where I purchased my house, and I'm not in any way, foolish to think that I don't live on 208 and I should not expect noise. But this is extreme, and there's talks of a petition starting. So before it gets to that, maybe the police would like to put a little bit more presence. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're welcome. Have a great night.
Can I make one comment? This is Mike Homachek. I'd just like to thank the Township Committee for extending the property tax deadline to June 1st. I think that'll help some people that are having possible financial issues during this tough time period that we're in. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
That's it. Wow, it worked.
All right, very good. All right, do we have anyone else who wants to make any kind of public comments?
The Homachecks were the only people who had signed in.
There were the only two in there. Okay, very good. Can I get a motion to close the public comment portion?
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor?
All right, great. We'll move on to, I need a motion for approval of the April 21st, 2020 Township Committee work session and regular business meeting minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
Mr. Madigan, Mayor Shanley,
Yes,
Mayor Shanley. Thank you.
yes.
Okay, our next item of business is an ordinance for public hearing and further consideration, not on the consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, I have ordinance number 1912 entitled, "An Ordinance Authorizing the Appropriation of $608,500 for the improvement or purposes authorized to be undertaken by the Township of Wyckoff, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, and providing the necessary funds therefore." For a second reading by title only, with a copy of this ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall, where public notices are customarily posted, and copies have been made available to members of the general public of the township who have requested the same. May I have a governing body member to move the ordinance on second reading by title only?
I move the ordinance on second reading by title only.
Second.
May I have a second? Okay, Mr. Madigan,
This is the time.
Yes.
Go on.
Mr. Madigan.
Say that again, Bob? You're asking me to vote, is that correct?
This is a time for the roll call vote. Ms. Fisher has moved the ordinance on second reading by title only. Ms. Rubenstein has seconded it.
Okay, so I will vote yes again. Yes.
I'm going to ask for the township. Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes. This is the time and place for public hearing on ordinance number 1912. And all persons who wish to be heard, please state your name and address before making your statement.
We do not
Is
have anyone logged in.
Bob? Okay,
No,
we'll give it another minute.
not.
What's that?
No one has logged in to make a comment.
Can someone move that the public hearing on the ordinance be closed? Actually,
So
I'll do it.
moved.
I move. Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff that ordinance number 1912B and the same is hereby adopted. And the municipal clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the notice of final passage of said ordinance in the official newspaper for the Township of Wyckoff as provided by law. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Mr. Madigan,
yes,
Ms. Fisher,
yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes. All right, Bob, can you
Okay.
call the consent agenda?
Yes, I will, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. All matters listed below are considered by the Township Committee to be routine in nature. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any discussion is desired by the Township Committee, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. 1, resolutions adopting of the following. 183, award of contract for pay-to-play compliance. 184, award of contract for pay-to-play compliance. 185, preparation of 2020 tax bills. 186, payment of bills. 187, CARES Act, change to employee 457B deferred compensation account. 188, authorize the purchase of police hybrid patrol vehicles from the cooperative pricing system. 189, invoke Title 59 Plan and Design immunity for a new vehicle. 190, authorize the filing of declaration of intent for applying for a Bergen County Open Space Park Improvement Grant. 191, authorize signing contracts for the New Jersey Direct Install Energy Grant Program. 192, cancellation of sewer bill. 193, public use of municipal parks. 195, extend the grace period for May 1, 2020 tax payment to June 1, 2020. 196, acceptance of drone donation. 2, ordinances on introduction. 1914, a bond ordinance authorizing road resurfacing and improvements to Town Hall in, by, and for the Township of Wyckoff in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $1,391,775, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,072,000 of bonds or notes of the Township of Wyckoff to finance part of the cost thereof. 3, motions. 1, approve a temporary sign recognizing National Nurses Week at the Christian Healthcare Center campus from May 6th to May 12th, 2020. 2, Township Committee recognizes Nurses Appreciation Week and Teacher Appreciation Day and encouraging all individuals to thank nurses and teachers. May I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mr. Madigan,
yes,
Mayor Shanley.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I have a resolution to be considered separately. Resolution 20-194, recognizing the month of June 2020 as Pride Month in the Township of Wyckoff. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Madigan?
a discussion, please.
Sure.
I'd ask to have this pulled, and I clearly understand the spirit of this resolution. And I just want to remind everybody that all members of the governing body agreed last year with the proclamation that was put together specifically on the month of June, specifically on recognizing June as Pride Month. We unanimously agreed last year. When I was the mayor, I also served with Melissa Rubenstein on the subcommittee, put together the proclamation And we're trying to focus on putting a flagpole in our town and going forward with government speech, recognizing that at the time, and we were clear about it, that June 2020 would be designated as Pride Month. I'm just a little confused that we have a resolution that was unanimous a year ago. It was give and take on the governing body. And I was assured that this is the same resolution as last year, but we added an additional, be it further resolved. So I'd just like to read the resolution that we had last year, along with this year's resolution that's identical, other than that being the 50th anniversary of the movement's 51st. Whereas the Township of Committee of Wyckoff takes pride, with Township of Wyckoff takes pride in recognizing diversity and welcomes people of all races, religions, genders, and sexual orientation. And whereas June 2020 is the 51st anniversary of the modern LGBTQ movement for civil rights, and whereas the Township of Wyckoff further recognizes that freedom from discrimination is an inalienable right of all residents and visitors, and whereas LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their straight peers, and more than 1/3 of LGBTQ youths have attempted suicide, and 9 out of 10 LGBTQ youths report harassment at school, and 3/5 report feeling unsafe at school. And whereas the Township of Wyckoff strives to be a place where all residents and visitors feel accepted and welcome, whereas cities across the United States recognize June as a symbolic month in which LGBTQ persons and allies come together in celebration of Pride. Now therefore be it resolved that June 2020 shall be recognized as Pride Month in the Township of Wyckoff, and that the fundamental rights and accomplishments of all people, regardless of sexual orientation, shall be recognized and celebrated. So that's what it was last year. I would like to amend tonight. We have the additional paragraph that I don't feel is necessary. I think it'd be great if we're all unanimous, reaffirming the proclamation from last year. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution to end just where I ended. Is there a second?
I don't believe there's a second.
Okay, so I'd like to now further make an additional resolution, a comment on the resolution. And to be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed. I thought we were kind of unanimous in our approach. That we kind of want to do the right thing. And, you know, we spent a lot of time last year. I personally devoted a lot of time to ensure that all our citizens are properly recognized. And what I don't understand is that, you know, we're singling out this occasion by adding the last paragraph. I'm going to read the last paragraph. I'm going to make a recommendation on that too. Be it further resolved that the Township of Wyckoff will proudly fly the Pride flag on its governmental speech flagpole at Memorial Park for the month of June 2020. And again, I was a little taken back because this will be the 4th flag flown on a governmental flagpole, okay? And neither of the 2 previous proclamations referenced anything about the flag, because we already agreed what flags were going to fly. So I just found it odd that for some reason we're adding this. And to be honest with you, as I mentioned earlier, I was disappointed that we're in May and we have no resolution on Memorial Day. no mention of the 3 previous flags that are flying. And I just don't understand why we're try to make an exception. So is there any comment or discussion before I make the resolution? Can I, whoever put this together, I understand, Mr. Mayor, you were the one that put
It was
this
me
together.
who put it together, Tom.
Excuse me? I
It
didn't hear
was
you.
me who put this together.
Okay, so can you just
I
comment on
put
why
this
that's
together.
added?
I put it there because we should be proudly flying this flag in June. And I plan to
So-
proudly fly it.
Okay, so I just don't understand. Either we're flying the flag or we're proudly flying the flag. What's so special about proudly?
This is a very proud moment to fly it. We've never flown this flag in town, ever. So I'm proud that it's going to go up on this flagpole.
Right, well, we've never flown the veterans flag. It's Memorial Day this month. There's no parade, there's no service, and we don't even have a proclamation.
The American
let
flag
alone
is up
something proud.
every day.
Excuse
The
me?
American flag is up every day.
Not the American flag. I'm not speaking about that. I'm talking about the flag that we have on our government speech that's up there that we put up unceremoniously, the same way in February we put up the flag unceremoniously, the same way we did in October unceremoniously. But I think it's particularly hurtful in the month of May, where we have Memorial Day, we don't have a parade, we don't have a service. I had asked earlier and recommend that we put a proclamation for May. We're jumping ahead to June and we're singling it out. So I think that we don't need the word proudly. I'd be willing to go along with it if we don't have the word proudly, we don't have adjectives and adverbs and superlatives in any resolution we do. We know what government speech is. I don't think we need to politicize anything.
This isn't
I'd like
politicizing,
to make a
Tom.
motion that we remove the word proudly.
All right, there isn't a second, Tom. All right, any further discussion on this? Or do we just call to a vote?
Let's call it to a vote, and I just want to go on the record. I'm happy with how it is, and thank you, Tim, for working on the resolution. And we are proud to fly the pride flag this month.
Thank you.
Next month, sorry.
I also concur that I think we should proudly fly the flag. And I agree with it as written.
All right, Bob, can you call to a vote, please?
Okay. Mr. Madigan,
I abstain.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Proudly, yes.
Okay, the next order of business is resolution number 1909. Let me just get to it. Mr. Chairman, I have ordinance number 1909 entitled, "An ordinance to provide a certain capital improvement in the Township of Wyckoff and to provide for the receipt, acceptance, and deposit of grant funds therefore, and to authorize appropriation of $162,000 for second reading by title only." And a copy of this ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall, where public notices are customarily posted, and copies have been made available to members of the general public of the township who have requested the same. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I move. Second.
A second.
Second.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes,
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes. This is the time and place for public hearing on ordinance number 1909 and persons wish to be heard. Please state your name and address before making your statement.
Mr. Mayor, we have no one on the line.
All right, can I get I'll move that the public hearing on the ordinance be closed.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff that ordinance number 1909B and the same is hereby adopted. And the municipal clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the notice of final passage of said ordinance in the official newspaper for the township as provided by law. May I have a
I move-
motion?
I move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
time for a roll call vote. Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have ordinance number 1911, an ordinance amending ordinance 1878 entitled an ordinance appropriating funds for major vehicle repairs and appropriating additional funds for said purpose. For second reading by title only, and a copy of this ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall where public notices are customarily posted and copies have been made available to members of the general public of the Township of Wyckoff who have requested the same. May I have a motion to move the ordinance on second reading by title only?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes. This is the time and place for the public hearing on ordinance 1911 and all persons who wish to be heard. Please state your name and address before making your statement.
Mr. Mayor, we have no one on the line.
Okay, I will move that the public hearing on the ordinance be closed.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff that ordinance number 1911B and the same is hereby adopted, and the municipal clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the notice of final passage of said ordinance in the official newspaper for the Township of Wyckoff as provided by law. I have a motion to move the resolution.
I move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I have ordinance number 1913 entitled an ordinance to provide for and determine the rate of compensation of each officer and town hall employee of the Township of Wyckoff and the method of payment of such compensation for the year 2020 for second reading by title only. And a copy of this ordinance has been posted on the bulletin board in Town Hall where public notices are customarily posted. Copies have been made available to members of the general public of the township who have requested the same. May I have a motion to move the ordinance on second reading by title only?
So moved.
Second. Second.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes. This is the time and place for public hearing on ordinance number 1913, and all persons who wish to be heard, please state your name and address before making your statement.
Mr. Mayor, we have no one on the line.
Okay, I move that the public hearing on the ordinance be closed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff that ordinance number 1913B and the same is hereby adopted. And the municipal clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the notice of final passage of said ordinance in the official newspaper for the township as provided by law. May I have a motion to move the resolution?
So
I
moved.
move the resolution. Or
Second.
second.
Mr. Madigan,
Yes.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
Ms. Rubenstein,
Yes.
Mayor Shanley.
Yes. I think that concludes our business unless anyone has anything else. I'll just request a motion to adjourn.
Just want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's
Happy
Day.
Mother's Day.
And thank you for recognizing the nurses and the teachers. My mom was a teacher, retired teacher, taught for a long number of years in Passaic. So I really appreciate all of the teachers do. My mother-in-law, my sister-in-laws are nurses, so I really appreciate what they're doing as well. Thank you.
I don't think you heard me, but I too concur with Mother's Day. Remember my mom, the lovely Mary Madigan, the mother of 7. And I'll also give a shout out, happy birthday, Rudy Boonstra.
Happy birthday, Rudy.
Yeah, happy birthday, Rudy.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nice job, Bob. Nice job,
We're
Dan.
adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy.
We made it
Thank
through
you,
our
everybody,
first
members.
Zoom meeting. Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Okay.
good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
We're going to end the meeting then.
Okay.